Wow. Yeah, it's exciting to be with friends and colleagues and contributors also to this. And thanks, Daniela, you had a big role in this. And of course, Vit, we'll hear from him directly. This is a collaboration between LIBERLAND and Lead Architects, steered on and pushed along by Daniela's relentless steering. LIBERLAND, it's Vit and Andre, and on the lead side, it's been me and Shajay, who've been for a year debating, discussing, brainstorming, and then recently we started to sketch out some things. So with Shajay's team, Vishu, Henry, and Cesar, plus it's a very small team, plus then Metaverse coming on as a technology partner. So just to put these credits in front, I guess we hear more from Vit, but I thought it makes no sense to talk about it without at least giving you a sense what LIBERLAND is. It's that new micronation which Vit founded. There's this kind of no man's land between Croatia and Serbia, which none of the two countries are claiming, and Vit kind of charged on as a beautiful piece of Greenland directly on the Danube and said, this is now LIBERLAND, the Free Republic of LIBERLAND, and we're going to make a very free libertarian micronation here. Beautiful piece of land. So when I heard about it in 2015, I've been a libertarian for quite a while, and I had to meet Vit, and we made contact. I visited him in his headquarters in Prague, and I've been speaking at a number of LIBERLAND conferences, and it's a great coincidence. LIBERLAND, libertarianism, and the whole blockchain crypto ecosystem. It's fantastic synergy, and so the idea emerged relatively recently that I think LIBERLAND will happen, and there are so many e-citizens or fans and citizens of LIBERLAND around the world, but the idea to bring it out first as a virtual place is I think a very strong idea. So it's going to be Metaverse, and you mentioned Decentraland, and that's a fantastic project, and we're comparing and we're learning from Decentraland, but you also I think we can there's a space for us to charge forward and take some of that project further. And I will talk later about the differentiation. So one of the differentiations will be, it's a fantastic project, Decentraland, don't get me wrong, but when you arrive, you're arriving this kind of in the clouds. It doesn't really, you're not in the middle of a city. You don't have co-location synergies and intervisibility, and but you can kind of teleport to a series of spots and events. You can participate. This has been taking off quite a lot. So Decentraland is a great kind of challenge to work with, and go beyond. So there's a glimpse of what we're going to have. We're going to fly into a city, and we're going to see NFT Plaza, DeFi Plaza, City Plaza, and various buildings and events, hopefully, which we can join. And so in a way, if you look at Decentraland, it's an all-encompassing world. There's going to be a lot of gambling, and there's a lot of gaming, and there's fashion and various districts, and there is already the kind of crypto district, Crypto Valley. Looks very small here, maybe it's a little bit larger on this abstract map. And in a way, I think that we want to focus with the LIBERLAND Metaverse, addressing at least initially that crypto ecosystem community and focus on that. So it's a kind of Crypto Valley writ large. Crypto Valley is interesting. So you have and you can see already the difference in aesthetics coming through here, but there is crypto conferences, a crypto conference center. There is various projects have kind of set foot there, and the headquarters of Polygon, and I think Metaverse is there, and various NFT companies. So it starts to be a community, and they have these events, conferences, or Crypto Valley job fair. So we can learn on that. So there is a market for that, and that community, and the idea of districts is interesting. And I think that, but it can also be freestanding. So here's what we kind of sketched out, and I'll show you a video later and go a few more details into what the spaces should be like. So differentiators that make the LIBERLAND Metaverse special. First, investment in LIBERLAND Metaverse means you're gaining a stake in LIBERLAND proper. So there is some kind of, any investment there, you participate in LIBERLAND. Should it come through, you have a stake, you have some sort of ownership or governance relationship with it, yet to be fully formalized. But I think that's very unique, that there is a real land. Second, this focus on the crypto ecosystem, on networking and collaboration rather than on entertainment. as city functions. And the third, I hope, it's the urban architectural design. I mean, there is no kind of structure to that in Decentraland. And here you can see a glimpse when I talk about design, the kind of spaces we're looking at, we're developing, and I will tell you more about it later. We're looking also at the literal, the studying interaction situations, but also the iconography and semiology of these various spaces, and so you can find your way and use them. So, virtual LIBERLAND, we had, the idea came up and we asked ourselves, why blockchain? And I think the more we debated it throughout the years, the more it became clear that it's legitimacy, social legitimacy. An open platform like this, which invite everybody, even if it's a subsystem of world society, it should be open source, open platform, and should be in a way owned and governed by the contributors via a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. So that's what we've come to realize. But also, secondly, it's very important, it's a low barrier funding route, ICO, tokenomics, etc. I think it has less complexity than other, let's say, more legacy modes of funding startup projects. So these are the two reasons which brought me fully over to that level. So now here we start. I wanted to, before I go into it with more detail, I want to show you first round of sketches. They came quite late. We've been talking and brainstorming for a year, and then we started sketching nearly just 2 months ago. And we have 2 iterations so far. So you can see the first seed cluster of buildings, and you see we're focusing a lot on the openness of a lot of activated outdoor spaces. So you can see overview everything when you kind of move in, and you don't need necessarily columns. First kind of let's say heuristics is you don't need so much structure, but this is for instance the DeFi plaza where you can orient yourself. There's an NFT plaza, and you can see the public space and the intervisibility, inter-awareness, the penetration and openness of the interior structures. There isn't that distinction, is very kind of loose. More about degrees of intervisibility and intimacy. There's nothing to do with the elements, which obviously. So these still early sketches, multi-project incubator buildings, as well as individual headquarters. We can tap into several years of research now at ADRL with these kind of urban incubator, urban creative industry clusters, and these open, differentiated spaces with co-working, co-location, incubator space. We've been studying this for quite a while. Here's a kind of first sketch for something. They could also be composed of modules. So there's a configurator idea which Shajay and his teams have been working, both DRL and Zadi, for quite a while, and it feeds also over into what we've done at Prospero, kind of a real kind of libertarian city, which might also develop a virtual arm perhaps. And then we have these kind of, you can see into these kind of incubator buildings, and again studying different interaction scenarios more closely on the roof, within the depths of the building. And of course you can also bring in lots of 3D assets and interact with the media, videos, objects, 3D objects, etc. So that's some of the spaces we started to sketch first iteration, and now I'll show you the current iteration. It's just a preview. We're going to launch after 7 years of 7th birthday of the LIBERLAND in a way in April. Probably we're going to launch properly. So this is where we are. We're starting at this corner. It originally started here. Now we're starting at this corner, and we're developing a kind of beautifully organic, kind of radiating out a city plan. So with the kind of urban core which we really want to craft and design, and then we will radiate out with further zones where the districts can evolve, and other design teams may be curated, listed sets of designers come in, and later on maybe really a free for all at the outer edges, and maybe also beyond the perhaps the bounds of LIBERLAND. So it could grow, and I've written this originally as some kind of urban governance model for LIBERLAND proper. It's a multiplicity of urban governance modes. There's a sponsored order, which is anticipated, curated, or rule-based in the core, and then you have maybe self-governed districts. and then you have maybe something really individualistic, free for all, spontaneous on the outskirts. So we've been developing that core, and then the outer edges. This is just kind of mock-ups of things which might emerge further on. And we haven't started with the parcelization, but there is this idea of having, you know, I don't want to talk too much about monetization at this point, but there could be land sales and long leases and venue leases, as well as event-specific forms of revenue. So let me give you a bit of a video. There's a bit of a music where we are. So we've specialized architect, and it exists as a sample through Metaverse and Metaverse, who are delivering all the multi-user interaction. We're going to use that now, forthcoming, as a proof of concept to find further collaborators, investors, etc. So this was the kind of DeFi cluster or building with the NFTs. It's a new iteration. We have different versions of these. There could also be more than one of those plazas. Exhibition, trade fairs, etc. Important conferences. Of course, we haven't developed a full conference center yet. So let me explain a few more things. So this is the initial master plan, and you see a number of key venues clustering. I mean, City Hall, you know, it's going to be libertarian. We will have think tanks in the building. We have conference and events, and all the LIBERLAND governance events going to take place there. Here in the waterfront, and then this becomes this cluster with the public multi-user zones, DeFi, NFT, and the various buildings and exhibitions buildings here, and then starts the crescent of, let's say, project headquarters, and then it goes on more freely. So just in a few more images quickly to get a sense of that. There's a LIBERLAND boat. Maybe there will be a virtual version of that as well. But also just to depict the reality of, as LIBERLAND evolves, we can kind of fit that in, and there's this interesting overlay between what happens on the ground, as well as the festivals. LIBERLAND festivals will hopefully take place, have virtual versions here in the front around City Hall. So City Hall is this basic space, but also I believe that there could be various committee spaces and libertarian think tanks will hopefully be coming in. That's a close-up of the DeFi Plaza, where you get all the information about the various markets and announcements, etc. And I think it's important that a lot of this is outdoor, so visible, inter-aware. You can see what's going on. Some of the interior spaces for that, NFT Plaza, etc. So we've gone. It was important to not only be urban design but activate the urban spaces and have that openness and this open view and participation into the interior spaces. So that's the city hall itself and the way you can overlook it from various levels, and the way you can, you know, an event could take place and projection screens and could be activated. So that's first sketches obviously, and it's seeing some kind of multi-level urbanism. Still quite empty, obviously, but these are all spots for markets, for events, for hackathons, etc. The incubator building in the second version, second iteration, again, it's a kind of three-dimensional bureau landscape with various degrees of separation, intimacy, activation, and we're just simulating, obviously, the real. Once we release these out, those projects come in with their own elements. Maybe we're feeding that with our configurator of various desk screens, meeting zones, etc., etc. So these are the modules which we generating, and could be you know, allow tailoring and fit out through various projects. So there could be a number of smaller projects sharing a building, or a full building like Ethereum Foundation maybe could take on a whole building like this, because there's so many parts to that ecosystem, so many projects. We also branded one of our buildings as the Metaverse Center. Metaverse has been, you know, bouncing off idea with us and have some interest, and they have been done so much to the NFT space that it's great to have their ear, and I hope they will join that place. And also just want to quickly show that we had, you know, there's an NFT artist and curator who's an old friend who's been energized, like myself. So some old guys get re-energized with the whole crypto community and space. So we sketched out some, you know, his NFT gallery, NFTism, which he actually launched at Art Basel, the first kind of NFT display in Art Basel recently. And I show you a little video that kind of feeds back into the exhibition center where his gallery will be placed, could be placed, or he's getting a whole building as well. So I have a few, have another video for that. Let's see if that runs. Yep. Kenny is a digital artist who's generated a lot of videos and poetry, and also commissioned a number of pieces for us. These cars and boats you see here are Kenny Schechter commissioning Zaha Hadid over the years. All it can come back to life in the virtual world. Sorry, this is not as smooth as I was hoping. Anyways, it was fun to keep to give some of these assets new life. And finally, I mean, we're working on a ideal museum for the 20th century, a virtual museum, which we might place here, should place here, which is just a few sketches of that. So with that, I leave it to the debate. I'm excited to give you that preview, and thanks for the attention.